All right, we're live. Happy July 5th. We survived another American birthday and Canadian independence. It's July and it's the night before APEC, and here we all are. Welcome.
That's right. You are in Canada. We almost invaded you yesterday, Bernie. We were thinking about it. We had a meeting and we're like, they've been up there doing something for a long time.
To be honest, I think we are well occupied and owned by America for quite a while now, and probably the 52nd state, maybe 53rd.
We were this close to invading. The only thing that stopped us was our leader, because he was like,
Don't worry, we have our own stooge.
Right, like
but we don't have we don't have poutine. We need I would invade for poutine.
We have a lot of poutine in Canada, actually.
Yeah, we don't have any.
So
we don't have any. I would totally invade for that. That's worth having.
Poutine and bacon.
Yeah, the back bacon. Yep.
Yeah.
Poutine and back bacon, Canada's secrets.
But I miss the Mexican food in San Diego. That was good too.
Yeah, I was in right in old LA about 4 years ago. We have relatives that live in Lakewood, California. So he took us a drive down there and we went to a really, really good Mexican restaurant. It was awesome, like unbelievable good.
Yeah. Yeah, I eat I still eat Mexican here once in a while.
It was called Old El Paso. I don't know if you guys know that.
Oh yeah. But the best obviously is in Tijuana, the little taco shop. You stand up and you eat tacos.
Yeah, you got to be careful though. You go down there and you get
it's not the same anymore, right? But I guess it's an open border, so you'll have no problem getting back and forth, right?
Hey, do you want me to show you guys my albums real quick?
Absolutely, Tim.
Okay,
sure.
I'll just do a quick share. And we're doing APEC tomorrow, so
the night before APEC, and we're all here, so that's why it started at 9 p.m. Eastern.
I know that's because your channel is like contagiously mellow. That's
contagiously mellow.
Contagiously mellow, and I'm just contagious today, so things up. So this is my Flickr album photo, but so I have been traveling. I just went to Florida. Actually, all of these albums, I went to Florida and traveled up the coast with Mark Sokol. We did like a road trip. And so I shot all of these photos and I'm doing video as we speak. The one that might be most interesting, and this was a total surprise, was we had the opportunity to inspect one very small arts parts, the UFO wreckage.
What?
Supposedly.
Wow. So you have some actual potential UFO recovered physical material, metamaterial that Mark's running tests on at Falcon Space.
Yeah, and in fact, here, let me go down to some of the photos of it. I'll just surf through these. They asked me to watermark them. That's why they're watermarked. So, so these are, I mean, this is, what do you call it, property of Falcon Space or whatever. And Mark has this. But Gerald and I were both there. Gerald was helping him set up equipment, and I was actually doing filming on that dynamic nuclear polarization thing when this happened. And so we're like, okay, we'll take a break and just go through it. And so we've been getting like yelled at online by trolls for like 4 days now. They're like, why would you shine a flashlight at it? I'm like, because what else would you do with it? I don't know. There are like lots of advanced tests that we didn't have the equipment to do, so we may do some of those. But ultimately, this is Mark's. I was just helping, so I'll just get that out of the
wild.
So what
have you found anything conclusive?
Well, so we did not do the type of test you can do. There's an isotopic test. That's what Gary Nolan did on Jacques Vallée's samples, the Utabawa or whatever it was from South America. That's a destructive test. You actually have to burn a small amount of it. So we can't do that, I don't think. This is glue that was on it. because this purposes before it was given to us. So that white stuff is glue that was just used to mount it for other labs.
And so was this stuff like the bismuth magnesium composite, or is this different, or do they know yet?
No, it is, and you can actually see. Let me see if I don't completely suck. You can see the layers. You could sort of see the layers. There, you can kind of see the layers in there. You can also see interesting structures. So I noticed a couple. Jared Yates is probably the person to talk about this, and in fact, he is going to. Jared is doing a presentation at APEC tomorrow, where he's going to talk about arts parts as well as a ton of other claims about recovered samples. So what I noticed when we were here was, if you can see these break points, you probably can't see my mouse, but on the side of it, you can see these ridges that go up and down. What's interesting about those ridges is it almost looks like the sides of a canyon wall in a desert. They're almost like columns up and down, and yet it runs counter. They run perpendicular to the layering, the bismuth magnesium layering that you were talking about a moment ago. So the surface of it is like side to side. It's bismuth magnesium layering, but where it breaks top to bottom, which is really weird. So there may be.
Is that indication of manufacturing?
No, I think it may be an indication of some kind of internal microstructure. This was just two different lights. This was a UV light on the bottom and a laser on top. By the time we got to this point, we were like 4 hours in. We were just kind of bored. So
I heard one theory that they're thinking
there we go,
because of the complexity of the material, that it was possible these craft are actually like grown.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
It could very well be possible. You can see the layering a little bit in this as well. Excuse me.
Were they reacting to magnetic fields?
It did not. We didn't do a ton of tests there, but it didn't seem to react much to anything.
Okay.
What we did see was there was some glittering on the surface, and Jared kind of hypothesized, you could see it in some of these photos, that there might be like microspheres or microcrystals. Here, I'll stop sharing because that was my.
No, that was really cool though. That was really beautiful.
That was amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So
you're taking. How are those being recorded? Like, how are you getting that close? What are the tools being used?
So we were in Mark's lab at Falcon Space, and when this came in, and the whole thing took us by surprise, and so we were just like, okay, well, what do we have to work with? And he had a 4K. He had a little 4K microscope that plugged into the computer.
Oh,
so
right.
We did that with the 4K microscope.
And man, that thing is so much better than you'd expect. It's pretty awesome.
I mean, it was like a $30 eBay thing, right? So, so people have been yelling at us online. They're like, that's not a lab. There are gummy bears on the counter. I'm like, it's not like we're prepared for it. So, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I mean, we did not see anything that screamed extraterrestrial, but it definitely reflected light a little bit differently than we expected, and it looks like it has structures in it. And I think Mark and or Jared may end up doing more. They may do more research there. So
I heard his presentation. I think he said that he saw like honeycomb shapes in the structure. So no,
it looked like that. It looked like there were little hexagons.
I was gonna say it kind of looked hexagonal on that, just on the little pictures you were showing there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then online.
It's interesting. According to Dan Davidson, the hexagon shape has real power. Just the shape alone has the ability to harness power, supposedly.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what the resistance is in the material. Actually, do like a ohm reading test to see if there is a resistance in that nanostructure, because it looks like it is a nanostructure.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a amplified graphene crystalline structure, right?
Maybe. So what I guess what I can say about it is, again, that the person who gave this to us, we have chain of custody on this, so we know, and this can't, I can't, they what they said was they don't want to be mobbed by UFO people, and this is one of those things where if their name gets out there, they will be, right? And so, what I would say is the person that this came from is trusted, reputable. Pretty much everybody here probably knows the name, but we can't say who it is. And we have chain of custody on it. So it is definitely one of Art's parts. Whether or not those are extraterrestrial or just some old hoax, who knows?
It has receipts that are attached to NDAs, essentially.
Yeah, more or less. Because those came in, they went to Art Bell, and then I think they went to Linda Moulton Howe back in the 90s. Travis Taylor did some experiments with them, and then Linda sent hers out, and she had, when you were talking about NDAs attached to receipts, she did that in the 90s also. So there's a lot of history there. Those things have traveled around.
Right. Well, it's okay if it took a few decades to finally end up in a real science lab. And shout out to Mark Sokol at Falcon Space, and right, that you were able to do a trip. He's one of the founding members of APEC, and that we got APEC tomorrow. And lots of people here have done APEC presentations, and those that have not yet that are here should probably at least come to the open presentation ad hocs and show your work.
Yeah, well, and then Mark is kicking serious butt with that dynamic nuclear polarization. I mean, he just got a ton of new machines for that.
I was gonna say, what was the specific one that really epic piece that was just donated to him?
It's some big measurement, and in theory, it lets him liquid cool it down to liquid helium, but he's gonna use liquid nitrogen because it's not quite as expensive or hard to do, at least starting out. So he's doing a ton, and then. And then Gerald was helping him set it up, and now Gerald is back home in Portland, and I'm sure he is pulling his hair out over the Graviflyer again. So, see, I see Nathan smile. Nathan's like, I have all my hair, but Gerald is like,
right, Nathan. Maybe good time to give us an update on what you're working on or getting to with the Graviflyer, because what's exciting about this is that all of you guys working with it and figuring it out, it's like you've been able to recreate each of the steps that Alexei describes in giving the instructions and tuning it, and it's like you're literally just one or two away from making it do that pop or whatever, and it's actually in the air.
Yeah, we're looking into the Tesla coil. I'm completely changing it. Whatever Alexei wrote it just wasn't right. So what it is, I'm looking for feedback in it. So instead of looking for that and listening for the sound, right, I'm just going to bypass it. So I'm going to create a Tesla coil with two separate energy sources. One, I'm just going to run for the regular gravity flyer. The second one, 20 to 30 volts higher, so I can hit the back feedback, because it's just an energy pulse that goes into it. I just have to time it with the piezo buzzer to make sure that I can get the frequencies to hit at the right time. If I can do that, I'm golden. That's where it is. So I couldn't find the right stuff. We've been looking everywhere, and I just decided to build it. So I have on my list this next week is about 30 Tesla coils to build. I'm going to go through every single different wire size I can from 20 to 34. I'm going to set them all at 300 hertz, and then I'm going to crank that power, man. So where I was hitting 5 feet away from this craft before, I'm going to hit 20 feet. So I'm going to have no problem with the power. So as long as I can hit that frequency, this thing coming off the ground.
That's wild. And that many Tesla coils, it's like, got to be careful you don't also accidentally open up a portal or something. You never know.
Well, you're open portals responsibly.
You're talking
you start glowing
one at a time, right? You plug them in, test them one at a time.
Yeah, it basically I wanted to make a chart, and I wanted to see what each one does, and then what the plus and minuses are for my project. So it's just going to be like an overall thing where you can basically buy a ZVS coil. You can buy a couple of capacitors. I'll tell you exactly how many lines to have on this thing. And anybody can have this Tesla coil no matter what. So you just order it with the exact amount that I tell you. It's a done deal. And then it's a start up and go. It's no longer, hey, it's a shot in the dark. I absolutely hate that. So I'm just going to create the list. I'm going to put it out there for free. And everybody can build these things as much as you want. I'm going to show you how to put 2 energy sources in it. I'm going to show you the switch between both. I'm going to show you how much power this thing has right away. And look,
Hey, Nathan,
I expect to blow up a lot, but I expect to win.
we're going to have a grab a flyer race when this is all done.
I think, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's good to just test different things, So one of my worries is that like the folks who are doing it right now are a little too conservative sometimes. They're kind of like, if Alexi didn't say it, we're really hesitant to try it, but and in a sense that's really cool. But then I think there's also a time where you just kind of got to go try different stuff.
Well, there comes a point
one way
when
to skin a cat.
There comes a point when you learn everything and you learn exactly what he does. There is no more to learn. You know what I mean? You know the exact process. I could sit there and watch the film and tell you exactly when he hits the button. I could tell you exactly the process he did to get it there. I have all of it on film here at the garage. And to be honest with you, I don't need to listen for something. God knows I'm 80% deaf right now. I'm not going to hear it. So why wait? You know what I mean? I'm just going to set up the probe next to it. I'm going to have my oscilloscope in another room, but the probe out there. Hopefully I don't fry more than one. And let's just hit it, That's just the way it's got to be, because a lot of this stuff, you say he said it, right? But I've seen videos of him. He just goes, okay, they said they wanted the Tesla coil circuit, so I pulled it out of my book. And I'm like, well, that's not very helpful. Who knows if that's the one you're using? And then he shows it, and he's like, okay, he's 15 feet back at some points, and then some points he's 10 feet back. If you understand that, then you know his Tesla coil cannot be a Slater exciter circuit because you're not going to get that power. So you know he's telling you a lie. So there's no getting around that at this point. And then when you calculate the height of his coil and the width of it, you know what frequency it has to be at to get there and how much power it takes to run that in order to get the distance. This is not giant science here. This is basics of Tesla coil. You're not getting around that. So when somebody tells me, hey, I got a Z44 chip and a Slater exciter, I'm just telling them, you know what? Good luck, buddy, because we're not getting there. It's not going to work that way. You're going to have to put more power in it, considering it's the only thing that moves the field. So you think of it like this. He's got a static field around his Tesla field. In order to get that EMI to go as far as it does to take out a space heater, how much power is that going to take? It's going to take you about 80 volts of power going in just to hit that. Just in order to knock that out. If I just sit outside and put a space heater out there plugged in and I hit my Tesla coil, it's going to take at least that to blow it. So when you tell me I'm overpowering it, I'm telling you, if that's his result, I have to follow his result, which means there's not enough power in it.
Did you try to put a gravimeter next to it to see if there's a shift?
I did, and there's 2 fields. You have 2 different lights, 2 different fields. So when you get close to it, you're going to pick up your static field, and that's pretty easy to pick up because it's on the outside. And then when you get into it, that's going to be your green light. So there's a red light on the outside, green light on the inside. That's your Tesla field. Only when they cross will you pick up both lights. And that's how you know you have the field on this. I have a gravity flyer. You can probably see it hanging on this side back here. The only thing that thing does is get field. So you see it hanging there.
Yep.
The only research I do on that is fields. So electrical field, the Tesla coil field, the static field, and I push them and pull them, and I play with them. I can jump them. I can put stuff in between to make it jump from one area to the next and come outside the field. I can wreck every piece of electronics in my whole garage in 1 second. So it's a pretty big understanding, and I have a whole giant notebook to show all the results of this thing. But yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point on this whole thing where we know what he did. And if you can't see it by now, I try to tell everybody the test to do it. And sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. You know, I have oscilloscopes. I have all that. I don't show it. And I just want to make it simple for people to see the reaction. If I showed you all the oscilloscopes and stuff, it'd probably be great for some people. I'd lose half of everybody as soon as I did it.
It sounds like you're saying he's totally legit, though. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay, well, there you go. There you go.
Because
do
I
you
was
find
showing
that, sorry to interrupt though, but the fact that he's giving misinformation and that it seems that so many different breakthrough inventors intentionally always like leave out certain details or falsify them and stuff.
Yeah, he did. So, but I found a breakthrough invention and I put it on my channel. Have you ever seen a Tesla coil lift a lifter?
Well, you know, actually, if
Yes,
could
I
add,
have.
Bernie, in terms of Alexei, one of the things you got to keep in mind, I forget too, is he doesn't speak English. It's all Russian, and they're translating it, right?
So there's a language barrier there.
Yeah, it adds some complexity.
But all the Russian sciences are Greek word based, so it's actually pretty good.
What I was trying to say was the Tesla coil lifter is at least 3 pounds. So you want to look at it. It's got a high voltage top. It's got a high voltage bottom, and it's got a Tesla coil in the center, and then it's covered in a wrap of aluminum. It's not your average lifter, and that's kind of the thing. So the Tesla coil itself is closer to the top than it is the bottom, and this thing lifts. It kind of gives away the whole thing. As soon as you learn how that one worked, you can then apply it to the gravity flyer because it's the same technology. There's no difference in it. And I've gotten all kinds of different videos that I share with Jared and Charlie on this. So we should be well versed on this. And there's different types of energy that has to go into those things instead of just doing high voltage coils. No. There's a whole game changing one that's in there. So you have to change it. And you have to be able to play with frequency, amps, and volts and be comfortable with it because this thing is like a dial that you have to hit just right.
Yeah. Well, speaking of dials, I just dropped one in chat for Bernie if Bernie wants to share it. That's Isaiah Ritchie's new one that he's working on. Sorry.
Where is this?
Oh, it's the TikTok one. Yeah, that's.
Oh, okay.
Isaiah Ritchie is out in Portland. He's almost neighbors with Jared. He's like a couple
This
of miles
looks like
away
a
from
Searle
him.
effect generator.
It is, but you notice there are no coils to power it. Now he did not tell me how he's doing it, but if I was going to guess, I would guess that the coils are probably hidden under the plywood.
Yeah.
He showed the video. There's something under the table that spins.
Yeah. So what I suggested to him was, I said earlier today, I'm going to fly down and try and film this. I said, if you're able to make it work,
yes, please,
under the table, I said maybe you could lift that SEG up a little bit and like suspend it in the air, you know. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what he can do with it.
That's pretty, that's one step closer to like what John Searle had with the triple, and that those two that are rotating, those are also levitated and not connected to anything, right?
Yeah, although I think it is being powered by, and he didn't say this. I think this is more of a gimmick, right? But I believe it's being powered by induction coils under the table. So I don't think there's any magic happening with this. Isaiah is not a hoaxer. I think he just came up with something creative and wanted to say, look, I can do it without having all that stuff wrapped around it, For
sure. Pretty cool.
Yeah, so he's gonna add rollers and layers too. I asked him about that, and he said he wants to do more. So we'll see where it goes from here. That thing is heavy, by the way. I mean, maybe 50 pounds, 40 pounds. I mean, it's like
really?
heavy.
A lot of metal.
Yeah, because it's like a foot something wide. Because I saw him pick that up when I was there last time, and he was like straining. He's like, just to. So
I like the clean setup. It's very cool. It allows you to see just the details, to focus on just the details of the generator.
Yeah, he does really good work. And then for me, gentlemen, that's all I've got for today.
Well, speaking of coils, Ben, as you walk away,
I know. I thought he was saying something, but I guess his mic wasn't working. I don't know. He just disappeared into the background there.
Yeah,
There we
Oh,
go.
he's there. He's there.
Oh, here we go.
here we go. Do you want to show what you've been working on and that you've been replicating and testing the PoE coils, vortex coils that came out with by the Nunez's One Stop Energy that have since disappeared for like 2.5 years now. Nobody can contact them, and all their like material just disappeared off the internet.
Yeah, and I managed to capture a lot of it. Now it's not like the videos that they had. They had so many videos, and unfortunately I can't access those. But all the descriptions of their videos, which were, they actually included diagrams and stuff. That's all. I've been including those in my live streams, and you've seen the Nunez circuit, the open circuit. That's stuff they had on YouTube that was taken down, and I managed to find, and I put it right back up. So yeah, this
Flex,
information
nice.
belongs to this information belongs to everybody. So that's the way I see it, and I just have some conclusions I'd like to read. I have some conclusions that I did a live stream a few days ago, and some of you might have seen me go over my conclusions. But basically, the Nunez circuit does work. The open circuit will not power any load outside of 400 hertz, except when in really high frequency. I saw a small pocket of energy around 21,050 hertz. This tells me it's actually capable of powering a load, and it goes against conventional teachings of circuitry because it's using an open circuit. But another interesting thing is, and just a caveat here, my multimeters aren't rated to be accurate above 3 kilohertz.
Okay,
so
but still,
we can't trust them at this range. But they did display at this range, which is around the range that the Nunez method is supposed to work. Remember, my coil is using 2 less wires, so its resonant frequency is going to be a little bit higher. I'm sorry, yeah, it's going to be a little bit higher. So the 2150, that displayed a 10 times voltage output. It was in the millivolts. It was smaller, but it was like 12 millivolts on the input and 120 millivolts on the output, like to the exact 10 times. It was insane. And I'm like, wait, I just did it. It's a very small amount, but I just did it, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it does work. You just have to find the right frequency. And what's even more crazy, and I'm going to tell you this is just a theory of mine, but Gerald, I think it was Gerald who was saying on live stream earlier that he was working with his coil, and he confirmed this for me, and I haven't been able to confirm it, but it's a theory that the coil has harmonics that are octaves of the phi ratio. So, and what we see in 2150, that's around the 3rd harmonic, which is insane.
I mean, even your equipment, I mean, within the 3,000 to 3,000 millivolt range, right? So, I mean, that you should be sensitive to like anything. Like usually, that doesn't mean it's not like grams or something where it's like like the level of. So you're likely to be able to experience anything like 1 millivolt to 3,000 millivolts, and so your equipment seems like that's the correct equipment to use. You shouldn't need something even that much more precise. Like what you're saying sounds accurate.
Okay. So
that's actually what I would expect, and it's the correct thing. I mean, it's kind of what we're all seeing here with field. You know, the idea of building field will allow for more energy to be. I mean, this is also why they try to build capacitors, which are just like they started out as like microscopic rolls of toilet paper, right, for this exact purpose, right? But you're definitely using. It sounds like you're proving. You know, I'd like to see. I haven't seen your last video, so it's interesting to hear these results so quickly, but like I would like to see, and I can't wait to see the rest of the work you're working on because of that.
Right.
Yeah, this is
You got a
all.
little demo to show right now? Where you set up, Ben? Or?
Yeah, I got it set up. I could show you. I just wanted to go over the second part of my conclusions, which
Sure,
is
sorry to
actually
interrupt.
really, yeah, is actually more crazy data. So some exciting developments in the area of magnetic synchronicity, and I've been trying to nail this one for a while, and I believe I have the solution. Going back over the strongest effect that I've seen regarding the rodent coil's magnetic field, the neodymium sphere, which fits the Tor and complements the coil's field geometry, the strongest effect happens around 7 hertz, 7 to 8 hertz. So it starts spinning up really fast. My tone generator doesn't go below 20 hertz, so I had to go on YouTube and manually find these lower frequencies. Nothing seemed to be doing anything above 8 hertz. So I did some research, and it turns out there are theories of the aether that include glass as an amplification for the aether. And in retrospect, to both videos, we see magnetic synchronicity happen with Daniel Nunes and Jack Scholes, where they have the neodymium sphere and the rodent coil. They both use glass for their container. So I decided to test this. And instead of putting it on 7 hertz, I decided to put it on the Schumann resonance, 7.83. And it started doing something really weird. So instead of spinning really fast, it started like spinning slowly, but back and forth, like it wanted to go all the way around. And I turned up the gain a little bit, and it seemed like it wanted to go all the way around, but I didn't have enough power. And then I took the neodymium sphere outside of the vortex, and it was still vibrating the glass like a foot outside the coil. It was insane. So that tells me if I pump more power into it, I might be able to get it to synchronize fully.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm really excited to roll out phase 2 testing. I got Mike and Nathan helping me with phase 2 testing. It's probably not going to be for another month or so. I got to gather all the resources, all the equipment to build it. But we're going to be testing the rodent coil on a battery in a Bendini circuit, the schoolgirl circuit.
Awesome. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Give me 1 second, and I'm gonna set this up for you guys.
I like that. That right. There's so much potential with these coils, and now that you guys are working together, and that's what this is all about. Like earlier today on Ben's channel, Old Man Builds, Nathan here, you guys doing the stream and connecting, and just the sharing and bringing of all these ideas, technologies, and it coming together.
Are you using any software to like model this? Like, have you used Spice or anything like that to do like to test what you're before you build it? I think he's setting something up. We'll get back to that.
I don't think he can hear you.
Right?
Oh, you know what? I should mention in terms of if you guys have a big event that you all go to or something, I might be able to show up and bring the camera and get promotional photos, which I know is like really annoying for everybody, but
we'll have to do Tesla Tech or something.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Let's do a conference.
I'm gonna miss it this year, but I might go next year.
Right? Next year. Let's plan for next year. Full year ahead, then it gives us a lot of time to promote it, and I'll get down there.
Yeah, something like that. Dude, that's what I'm all about. What I'm trying to do is like market this community. I know it sounds cheeseball, but like
no, it's good. It's your promote, right? It's all promotion and getting it out, and the more the better, and getting this science and technology out.
That's actually something that I recommend to a lot of channels who have important information. Is they need to learn how to market themselves to get the message out there, and networking is a big part of that.
Problem is a lot of inventors aren't good at marketing.
I mean, you gotta get a picture of you get a picture of like a shocked vegan screaming like ah on the front of the left side of the thumbnail, and then you have a picture of a laundry machine just shooting money out of the laundry machine, and then it just says like how I got my money for free, and then it's like free energy, like parentheses, really small energy after the free money part. And then
our community's not that bad, but
you just totally lied to him.
No, I mean, because if you think about it, like not spending money on your laundry, machine, like there are like 6 people I know now that have like a free energy solution for
You
their
can
laundry
literally
machine.
turn old laundry machines into little hydro-powered generators, right?
Yeah. If Mr. Beast only
Hey.
knew, you don't understand what he's missing out on.
Hey, I just made the Gerard Morin device. He uses a washing machine pump motor to run the generator. I got that featured on my site. So, and what's really cool about this pump that you get out of your washing machine, I could spin it up. It's putting out 113 volts. I can put both my fingers on the terminals. I don't get electrocuted. But
don't recommend trying this at home, kids. But
let's cut to a pipeline commercial for natural gas. No, I'm just kidding.
But the funny part is, the second you take that power from the washing machine pump and you put it into a transformer, then it becomes lethal. So what's happening inside that pump? If I'm able to put my fingers on the leads, I don't get electrocuted. I can wind it right out. But the second I put it into the transformer, now it's lethal. So what's happening inside that pump motor?
You're building it with less amps. You don't have enough amps in it.
Oh, it's got amps, so I could run 57 watts.
It's not usable amps. You're not in AC yet. You're in a sine wave, but you're not in AC yet.
Yeah, what I think is happening, I think it's a half wave. It's not a full sine wave.
Yeah, so it's going right over the surface of you like a bird on a high voltage line.
Yeah, kind of like the skin effect type thing.
Yeah, there you go. That's what's happening. As soon as you rectify it, don't touch that.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as you put it, like I got it hooked up with a 700 watt microwave oven transformer. So I put it through that, and then I send it to the lights.
Plus, DC is a little different these days. It's not like your Edison's like electric chair DC. We've got a lot of USB peripherals. I'm surprised how much of my life runs in DC now. I used to like swear against it and think we'd all be in some like AC Nikola Tesla energy field, but USB, man, like I can get a lot out of like non AC solar panel without any inversion, just using those tools now.
Yeah, well, and then all of your battery stuff is DC also, right? So
yeah,
exactly. So it's like you can collect in ways you would have thought before. Okay, well, that energy I have to AC that energy. I have to convert that energy. I'm going to lose a lot in that inversion process to have a pure sine wave inverter. That problem is 10 or 15 years ago now. With all of this crazy stuff from China, all the DC based stuff, all the half volt, USB and those battery systems.
Stuff was Gerald Morin, right? Going to China and taking it there, the DC motors and stuff. Like, what happened to Gerald Morin? Can anyone contact him these days? Like,
he just dropped right off the radar. I think the whole YouTube thing just really cheesed him out.
Well, he started manufacturing out of China, and then I think he actually maybe ended up over there. Who knows?
Yeah, where's John Galt, right?
You're busted. Andreas, they don't know the reference.
I'm always people get it. It's like I can always get about 8 seconds later. It's not very good for TV, but at least people get it eventually.
No, they're still working on it, man.
Jared, who? Which one?
I'm lost. It's an age thing. John Galt is a character in Ayn Rand's novel Atlas Shrugged, which has had many movie adaptations, and all of the movies sucked.
I believe that is why I never watched them, and then didn't.
You gotta get the books. Get the Audible. Get the Audible file. Listen to it. Maybe that'll help. Listen to it while you drive.
In AI Zertis voice, of course, though.
Oh, way better idea. Yeah, where's that app?
She had, and the thing is, like, she was talking about trains. That was the big thing in Atlas Shrugged. Like, and that's, I think, one of the things that makes it kind of dated. But she was talking about like train barons. She was it's almost like an 18th century idea, but like, because she was from Russia, right? And they had lots of trains still in Russia when she moved here, and so she wrote it up based on that. And I think a lot of people, it just doesn't resonate because like we're in the automobile age. But
I feel like it's more and more relevant. Like as we become closer and closer to how things were in the 19th century, at the end of the 19th century, we're less than 1% own
Yeah.
99% of the resources. And also to remember, trains were ubiquitous until World War II. Like the Japanese, the Californians used the Japanese threat. They're like, what if the Japanese landed in California? So to just blow up the trains. And this is like that Who Framed Roger Rabbit movie. Like it was very recent, the destruction of the infrastructure of trains. And I don't know. I feel like around the world, especially, it's still true. But they have adapted it to be about like new fuels, new kinds of fuels and things like that.
In the movie,
Yeah.
in that last
Yeah.
movie. So the Atlas Shrugged was. Let me see. What would the summary be? Basically, it's like the smartest innovators in the world. Basically, like in the book, like the entire world, they just get tired of getting ripped off.
Well, I would say the innovator. Anytime there is a problem, it's being exploited by a group, like a guild, like a mafia, and this kind of infrastructure is keeping people paying $150 a gallon for gas, or $1,000 for a ticket for a train or whatever. Or if let's say you're bringing your supplies west, and they can charge how much it's going to cost to bring it west because you have to use their trains to transport it. So all of a sudden they can take a huge tariff of your transport, right? So there's this huge monopoly, and somebody comes along with a solution to that. It's like, well, here's something that's like a car, or here's something that's another way of getting stuff there. It's going to revolutionize everything. It's a disruptive technology. Somebody produces a disruptive technology. Oh, that's loud. Oh, it's loud buzz. I'm just gonna unplug these for a while. Bernie, can you mute that? That'd be cool.
What is that?
I think it's Benefactor.
Ben.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. It was Ben.
Sorry. He'll be done in a second. I'll be done in a second. Oh.
Man,
I
he's
think
got
it's
some big
all
gloves
training.
on.
So disruptive. I'll be done. Disruptive technology guy comes out with this thing that's going to change the world, make it easier for the proletariat to do all these things in like less scarcity of trade and transportation. So this guild that controls all these things and is exploiting the scarcity problem. They try to stop these disruptive technologies, and they stop these entrepreneurs and innovators. And so eventually these entrepreneurs and innovators all start to leave, centered around John Galt, right? John Galt, they're all like, where did he go? Where did he go? And eventually you realize they did go somewhere, right? And they're working together.
They take off, basically. They just get tired of it, and they take off. They get tired of being used. They take off.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, hey Mike, I got a
Right,
question for you.
and being really
Gerard
cool.
Morin, did you use the induction coil to change the strawberry in taste on the testing that he did? Did you ever do that one?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't
I was
done that
just
yet.
interested. I wanted to see if it tastes different.
Right?
He took the energy from the washing machine pump and he ran it into an induction coil, like a little heater, and then he put fruit on it, and it's supposed to change the actual taste of it.
Really, eh? I haven't tried that one.
Hey, Gerald is around.
Oh, Gerald's on, maybe.
Yeah, maybe we should.
They emailed you.
We should Benny
the
solo on Benny and see what he's got all in that lab over there.
Man, he's got some big gloves. I haven't used those kind of gloves since I was welding. Oh, pot rags. Look at those things.
I haven't used those gloves since I made cookies.
Yeah, really. Eh?
Wow. I thought it was low voltage.
Yeah, those are oven
That's
mitts.
a cool coil. I like the coil. That looks beautiful.
Yeah, that's the Rodin coil. Is that it?
Right. It's the POE, the Peace on Earth. It's based off of the road mathematics, but it's created by One Stop Energy, the Nunez's.
That's a cool coil.
Oh, there you can see is it magnet?
I
or
know.
spinning?
I know Gerard Morin, when he was using his pump, he was putting it into the ionizer transformer. So he was able to get it up to a really high voltage, and then he would put it through a spark gap, and then from there he was able to run something like 1,000-watt sodium crystal lamp, that the hydroponic lamps.
Yeah.
And he was running that, and that gave off a really interesting field, not just like photon or light, but it was the electron field that was accumulating around the ball and the electrode. It was really interesting.
because that's supposedly where Walter Russell holds patents for achieving noble gas transmutations in those sort of bulbs, and I believe it was with General Electric or something, either that or Bell Laboratories, one or the other.
Yeah.
But
see, the reason why I built the device the way I did is now I've got a good platform to experiment with now. So I got something that I could swap stuff out, put stuff in, whatever, add this, add that kind of thing, and experiment with that. So at least I got a good platform to work with now.
100%.
Yeah, I like it. It looks cool.
Yeah,
Do you have a smaller ball, Ben? Do you have a smaller ball for it?
And welcome, Gerald.
No, I don't. Unfortunately, I got a bigger ball.
Oh,
Nice. I can go larger, not smaller yet. So if anyone's got extra balls, any iron or magnet balls out there, feel free to send them to Benefactor.
Yeah, that's not gonna do it. I bet if you had you know what, Ben, could you do BBs? That would be the easiest way. Pick up some BBs at the store.
Oh yeah.
Good call.
Totally
Good idea.
Or ball bearings, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
BBs, yeah.
Yeah,
or
Home Depot, you get
bird shot. You can get bird shot shells.
And then maybe also see what happens with copper, aluminum ones, iron as well. Compare.
Well, I predict if you were to put copper in there, it might actually start heating up.
Oh yeah, probably. Well,
Ben, I have a question. Does the rotation of the ball
or iron, ferrite wood?
You said what, Lulu?
The rotation of the little metal balls, I saw it going, counterclockwise. Is that an indicator for anything? Like if it goes that way or that way?
So, in my research with this coil, it does seem like, and this is just a theory of mine. It's not been tested, but the cymatics test that we did do indicated that the polarity was switching depending on the frequency. So I think, depending on the frequency that you have it, yes, it will either do a counterclockwise or clockwise rotation, maybe.
So the polarity is it determines the polarity.
Right, the frequency. It seems like that, at least for the cymatics test. But again, it was a really impromptu test. It was done on like a baking pan and some ionized salt, so table salt. So it wasn't the most accurate test. But it did look like it was switching polarities, like it was moving a little bit, the north and south poles. Although when I put a digital pole detector up there, I can't detect the North Pole ever. I've detected a South Pole one time. I think that's when I flipped the donut, but yeah, I've not been able to detect the North Pole at all.
Here's an experiment you could do.
So the monopole.
Get two plants and grow them right from a seed. Put one near your coil for because you're probably doing experiments every day, right? So
good call, Mike.
Put a plant near your setup, and then put the other plant in another room. And
that's
then
like a torture chamber for plants.
Well, so the Nunez's some of the videos, some of the last tests they had posted on their YouTube channel before they all disappeared were them literally growing celery and I believe beans in the complete darkness next to these more advanced
along with
had.
Yes,
and that you'd see the plants literally growing towards the coil. The closer they were to the coil, the bigger they were. And
I have those slides, by the way. I don't know if they were lost on YouTube, but I
can you share them right now? If you have
let me
see. Wilhelm Reich was doing the similar testing, and especially with his accumulators, his little boxes he was making, and he was noticing that the plants would focus away from the sun and actually go towards the box. So the orgone energy that's forming in the box, that's coming out of the flex tube, it's actually steel flex tube, they would actually start focusing in that space. They'll actually turn away from the sun and start going towards the box. Now, Eric Dollar did this about 25, 30 years ago, He just used cans, different size cans, and he insulated it the way Wilhelm Reich told him how to do it, or in his books. And yeah, sure enough, he put it right beside his garden, and within a few hours, all the plants started turning away from the sun, focusing towards the direction of where his box was. And he said, right there, I knew it was real.
That's
So
wild.
It also
We
it
gotta
also
test
grows
that.
faster in the magnetic field.
that's right. Growth rate increases with the magnetic field. So that's why I'm thinking the rodent coil setup is going to be enhance the growth rate. So put one in another room away from your setup and just keep the other plant in the area where you're doing your testing every day and just kind of keep a track of the growth rates. You might see some improvement with the plant that's closer to
interesting.
your setup.
Oh, definitely.
I actually,
have to do that for sure.
Like if you think about it, like for space, if on a spaceship, like, so you don't really need the sun, you could use a gas to, that's really interesting.
yeah.
Well, a lot of people are studying electroculture, and I forget.
It's all part of the same. It's all part of the same. I think those electroculture,
it's magnetic culture just as much, or even more so, right? As you guys are saying, the magnetic field is just as important, if not more important, than the electric fields.
I think
it's all part and parcel of the same thing. It's like two sides of the same coin.
Okay, Bernie, I'm about to share a very delicate link with you. It's full of everything I have from First Stop Energy's website, from the unlinked forum they had. I don't know if we're able to get it again, but I can't share my screen. So if you want to share your screen with it, I'm going to post it in the chat, the link.
Okay.
I was going to share my screen, but only to cause trouble, so I won't.
But everybody's welcome to it. Browse through it. It's got a lot of cool stuff. Everything I was able to find is in that folder right there.
Can I interest you guys in torsion shear experiments too, please?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Because that is and I know Nathan has a different idea, right? But that is what I think might be going on in the Graviflyer and the Searle effect generator too, is torsion shear, where you're twisting the aether, right? But it's counter twists. And the reason was when I went to visit Jared, he was talking about eddy currents on the surface of that disk, that center disk.
Yeah.
And he kept talking about these eddy currents, and for like 2 days, I was like, it doesn't mean anything to me. And then I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that reminds me of torsion shear, which John Deering and James Coram and a bunch of other people had gotten into. And I was like, man, and so that's been stuck in my head ever since then. But basically, have these two counter-rotating magnetic fields right on top of each other, and you're basically like tearing time-space.
Yeah.
So
now
how do you prove that in an experiment to show others? Like, let's say you have something like that, but you want to show how that would work. Do you have any ideas on how to do an experiment to do so? Go ahead.
I would have to kind of think about it. I mean,
I know I'm having a hard time with that one myself.
Yeah, because eddy currents, if it's around any kind of conductive metal, it's going to create heat.
The thing that got me was he was talking about two eddy currents going opposite directions that were like right on top of each other, and I was and I was like, man, I was like, that sounds, when it popped into my head, I started thinking about it. I'm like, that sounds so much like torsion shear.
Yeah, kind of like a bubble inside of a bubble, but the inside bubble is counter rotating and the outside bubble is rotating. And by doing so, it creates even more static electricity that could be added to the inside bubble.
Yeah.
And the time reference difference and the voltage potential difference, it's just all that comes together. That's amazing.
So is Jared running magnets on his upper and lower disc?
I think little compasses could be a good indicator if they, start moving erratically. You're distorting that space. Because still, like, just simple little compasses. If you put them around it, if they start moving differently, then that will tell you.
Good experiment.
Yeah, it's
Right?
gonna be
Like,
affected by the magnetic field.
see which way it's going, and
Like, I mean, these things, nothing but
Yeah, just put it in the center of your coil and turn the power on, modulate it, and see if it starts spinning it. Then you got a vortex spin
Yeah.
in your coil or your inductor or whatever. It's a very simple way of seeing that.
So did Jared have magnets on the top disc and the bottom disc?
He's tried both, and I think his default has been only on the bottom disc, but I think he recently put him back on the top.
Last time I did it, it just made the center plate just uncontrollably wobble.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that video.
Yeah, it was bad. I guess maybe the magnets were too high of a magnet. I don't know.
Look what Gerald has pre-set up for a presentation tomorrow.
Whoa.
But giving us a little sneak peek tonight.
Yeah, I picked up a few extra meters earlier so that I could demonstrate something.
Nice.
Yeah, Nathan, I wish I had better ideas. I guess we're all, well, at least me. I will admit to shooting in the dark with it, but but that torsion thing, I was thinking the SEG might be the same deal.
Well, just think of it like this. You ever see that video? You probably all saw it. The magnets on the bottom and a big coil on top of it, and then it jumps in the air.
I think so.
And everybody calls it levitation or whatever. Well, it's not interesting that it jumps the first time because it just be bouncing off the tabletop. It's interesting when it jumps a second time because then you have an established height of a certain item like the magnet. Then the coil jumps off it as well. So you get the double jump, and that's what's interesting. That's what I'm looking for.
I've got a question for you then, because I've done demonstrations of these vortex coils, a smaller one, 2-inch, and it can hold itself up 2 inches above a neodymium magnet, and you can put 5 times its own weight on top of it, and it'll hold it stably. But that's not considered levitation. Am I correct in assuming so?
No, I would say it is. I would just say it's not anomalous. I think if it's levitating for any reason, it's considered levitation, right? But like maglev would be the same thing. It's known. It's a known value, but it's not like
maglev.
I know I'm doing it really efficiently. I'm doing it with 5 watts.
Yeah, you can say levitation.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Here's another one. I don't know if you guys know. Joseph Newman came up with an anti-gravity device back in the early '80s. He took a helium balloon, filled it up, and then he wrapped quite a few windings of copper wire around the balloon to the point where it would sit on the ground. It wasn't able to lift into the air. And with that wire, he hooked up 220 volts to it. And when he pulsed it, the balloon raised off the ground. So that might be a different direction somebody might want to try. But
yeah,
he brought it.
Electrostatic charge causes types of.
Well, what is it doing to the helium? So he's weighted down the balloon with the windings around the balloon.
Yeah.
But the second he started pulsing 220 volts into that coil that's around the balloon, something's happened to the helium inside that makes it raise up. And if he reversed the pulse, the thing would spin one direction, and then flip it again, it would go another direction.
Is it ionizing the helium?
Maybe, I don't know. That's the question.
Plasma,
what is it doing to the helium? Is it exciting it? Is it making the molecules of the helium speed up? Because when you heat air, the molecules are very energized, so that makes a hot air balloon rise. Well, is the electricity or the electromagnetic field that coil's creating, is it reacting in a similar fashion with helium? So
maybe it changes the pressure inside by ionizing or something like that, and then
maybe.
It lifts up.
But interesting concept, kind of a different direction that, it's easy to replicate.
Yeah, I love these trivias.
Yeah.
Makes you think a little bit.
I think it's
But he
the
was
entropy inside of the helium balloon is being, you know, it's getting like the atoms in there. I think excitation, so it lifts like higher entropy.
Is it working for you, Bernie?
I'm just clicking through, going from trying to find which folder, and if it's let's see, maybe.
So sorry, Mike. Is the balloon?
Yeah, it is
closed?
loading.
sorry, say that again, Phil.
Is the balloon made out of plastic and sealed?
Yeah, just the one you would buy at the party shop. Filled it up with helium, just wrapped around 30 gauge copper wire around it, hooked it up to a pulse generator that could put out 200 volts DC, and just pulsed it. And the faster he pulsed it, the faster it would rise off the ground. If you flip the polarity, it would go clockwise, and then flip it the other way, it would go counterclockwise. So he had full control.
Yeah, well,
it was an interesting experiment, and he did this way back early 80s.
What's his name?
Joseph Newman.
Joseph Newman.
Yeah. He passed away
I love
in
his video.
2016. And yeah, he's one of the inventors that he's the epitome of an inventor not being a good marketing guy. He was terrible at that. I think that actually hurt him.
I love watching his videos. Yeah, it did for sure.
It did hurt him.
He didn't know how to relay the information to a general audience, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm following marketing, entrepreneurship classes right now, and they teach marketing. So I'll finally know more about it. So, first of all, did you know that when you try to sell something, you don't try to sell what the object itself, but you're trying to sell why you're doing it and the purpose behind it.
Right.
That's a good way to sell something in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of selling yourself in a way too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And very, very seldomly does an inventor have that skill.
Yeah.
It's like almost you have to hire somebody to do it for you because.
But it's not complicated once you know it. It's just I can tell you as soon as I'll learn it. I'll tell you. I don't care.
Yeah. So I do.
I was in sales for years. I never sold the product. I only sold the person. Within a few seconds, I could read that room and I could tell you exactly what he needs to hear. And 90% of the time, had nothing to do with the product.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's not opening a lot of the files. I couldn't find
Which
any
files?
With the plant growth, like showing the plant ones.
Oh,
Never mind. Here it is. That actually okay.
Is that
I see
more,
what's going on.
Yeah, there you go.
That,
yeah. So there's a lot in that archive that you can go through. It's fascinating. I recommend everybody go through it.
That's the plants. That's the plant growth.
Yeah, the plants, and then one next to the coil being larger there.
Yeah, I was even just share a picture that said, "I'm not a vegetarian because I love animals. I'm a vegetarian because I hate plants."
But the videos were way more, and it's hopefully we find
them getting taken down is one of the reasons why I didn't show my mung bean experiment. I figured they'd take me down right away if I did, so I've just left that on the back burner.
Well,
so Bernie,
magnetic.
Some of their videos?
Sorry?
You seen some of their videos, their plant growth videos?
Oh, I watched all of them several times. I was like talking with them all the time, and like, yeah, it's, I wish I had. I actually had those videos played on my old channel that YouTube deleted when someone porn bombed me. So it's like I had backups, but they're gone because.
How did that happen? You just let on the wrong person?
I did a 48-hour weekend at Bernie's live stream, and 24 hours into the live stream, I posted the link for like panelists to join. And at those times, there was like those annoying porn bots, and I'm pretty sure it was the dude operating the porn bot that like clicked the link, but he had stolen some like regular community members like profile picture and name, so he was like imitating someone, so I like let him on, and as soon as
Catfished you.
yeah, just
Oh wow.
and it was like 10 seconds of this guy like wiggling around his like probably literally the smallest penis I've ever seen in my life, if I'm being honest. And like I then booted him, and then I continued the live stream and like had so many other panelists and stuff for another 24 hours. And it turned out like 48-hour stream and never issue again. And then 2 weeks later, just my channel disappeared and never again. And it was attached to my university email, and it's like deleted for pornography.
Oh, that even makes it worse. I'm sorry. That sucks. That's terrible.
Right? Like,
yeah, when you're over the target, they go after you.
What the F? I feel it should be reinstated, but
the price
on, here we are.
The price to pay when you for the fame, you know.
Yeah, and we got Gerald here. That's Mr. Shadow Band.
Right?
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? I gotta thank everybody that's out there. You guys have raised my subscriptions to, let's see, it was at 670. I think it's back down to 668 again. I'm not sure. I watched it go down a couple times and then go back up. So I'm not sure where I'm at, but I gotta thank everybody that's out there for trying to boost it.
Yeah, I know I gave you a shout out on my channel to try to get some.
Well, apparently you guys can't even find my videos if I give you the title. I actually have
I don't get any notifications at all.
I get them now.
That's weird.
Do you? Yeah, that's awesome. Well, at least they're coming out a little bit. What do you do, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm just doing what I do.
Yeah, maybe. Have you considered trying to share your stuff to other platforms? So you bring in, outsiders from like maybe Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff.
I can't get onto other platforms. I've tried. Once a month, I try Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I try them all, and I don't get emails back. It's like it's interrupted somewhere in between. I couldn't. When it came to Tim and setting up the whole tomorrow's presentation and thing, I didn't get emails from Tim for a week, and it showed in my email like 6 days ago, and I'm like, what? So then I emailed them back right away. So I'm getting messed with. It is what it is.
Yeah, that sounds like a problem. But I mean, if we network together, I'm sure we can find some kind of a solution or workaround.
Yeah, do a Zoom call when you guys are all on.
Am I spelling this right?
Use a VPN.
That's
use
why.
a VPN or something.
Gerald.
I tried that.
And if we all
do that.
Oh, it does.
There it is, right there.
Share your stream to our audience. Hopefully that helps boost it a little bit too.
Oh yeah, it's all because of you guys why my subscriptions have gone up. Not to say that my subscribers aren't passing it around, because I thank them too. I'm sure they are, but
it compiles. You want it to maximize.
Well, you think about it this way, right? I watched Bernie lose a channel and then open a new one. He's somewhere in the thousands. I had my channel open prior to his. I'm still at 670-ish.
Yeah. Yeah. See,
so, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just the content that I have and they're small videos. That definitely could be.
I don't know. I've been at it for 4 years.
If it's consoling, I've been stuck at 9,340 for a year and a half now. They will not let me get past 10,000.
Even with all the highly produced content that I put out, my subscriber rate is like crawling compared to others who started around the same time as me with relatively the same topics that they discuss. And like if you watch Alchemical Science, I only started out 6 months after Jordan put up his stuff, and his stuff is very esoteric. It's not aimed for a general audience like mine is. So in theory, mine should be spreading wider and faster, with the algorithm, especially with how highly produced and a lot of detail I put into it. But it's crawling. It's like it's working against the flow for some reason. I don't understand it.
Maybe science isn't just sought after the way it used to be. That could be part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, or the algorithm just it's
Right.
favoring stupid shit that people want to see.
Yeah, like cats,
No,
like
it's not true.
each
Because
other or
there's
something.
millions of
Get a
views
million
on
views.
do-it-yourself build videos.
You know what?
And
We'll have Bernie
yeah,
Look
dress
at
up
like
it doesn't-
the shitty free energy videos that are fake and stuff. It's like they get like
yeah, that's
millions
true.
of views. And it's like
Bernie. We'll
they-
have you
they
dress up
pump
like
them
Taylor
out
Swift.
daily.
I don't understand that.
We'll have
Wait,
Bernie
I like
dress up
Tim's
Taylor
idea. What
Swift.
was that?
Bernie needs to dress up like Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift
There
does
you
awesome
go.
online.
Bernita
Taylor
Swifty.
Bernie.
That's right,
Oh,
Bernita.
no.
Maybe I'll
That's
wear
not right.
rabbit ears or something and we'll see what happens.
Oh dear.
It's about the
We need
views.
a really big YouTuber like engineer to come out and say, because I see a lot of like really big YouTubers like Electric Boom, but like at the start of a lot of their videos they're like, oh, well, first of
All he
all,
does is
we
try
cannot
to
break the
cut
laws of
stuff.
thermodynamics. We can't achieve over unity, and it's like,
Well,
well, if
see,
you're going to,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, like, if you're teaching your audience that, and we already know that we can achieve over unity, and you really haven't done a good service to your viewers. We need somebody who is able to overcome that mainstream bias, with a big following.
Okay, when it comes to the laws of thermodynamics, those are the things that are first touted instantly. The issue with that is the laws of thermodynamics were designed to be under a vacuum and in a linear situation, whereas
Right, in a closed system.
what we're talking about is
Exactly, just a closed
non-linear
system, and
system.
everything is an
Great
open
spin,
system. You have an antenna, you open your
Huge
system, and it's crazy. It's literally that everything can be an open system, but they try to apply the law of thermodynamics because saying that you're breaking it, but it's only under closed systems. And as soon as you have any additional source of energy coming in, well, it still works in the laws of thermodynamics. It's ridiculous.
It's been drilled into physics students' minds for years, and I wouldn't say it's a form of control as much as it is just a way of them directing what research they want in comparison to actually having the ability to maybe have free energy or over unity.
There's
Because
also
remember, in 1951, there was a law passed stating that the United States could never have any systems that were 80% or higher. They can't. They won't patent it. It's against their law.
But there's also a big ego amongst mainstream academia. Remember, like these people like don't like to admit that they don't know something. You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree. But ego can be overcome. People are people, right? But at the same time, like I get what you mean. It's hard to break through the ice. It really is.
No, but if a PhD says anything against the mainstream, he might get banned from publishing. He's not going to be able to publish anymore. He's going to lose his reputation, and he might lose his job. So they just can't,
Yeah, but blacklisted or whatever.
Yeah, so
you're absolutely right. But all the PhDs in the world, all the master's degrees in the world aren't going to literally add up to squat if one of us hops either a coil or a gravifier and makes it levitate. It'll change everything. So
well, I got news for you guys. I don't use any of those words on my channel. Half the people think I don't even understand them. Like people quote me all the time.
You're right. It will change everything. Absolutely.
I don't even bother using them.
I'm not an academic. I'm really not. I understand the language and the calculations, but I'm not an academic.
Well, like John Hutchinson, the furthest from a academic, and look what he's done, right? It's like you kind of the
I mean, if I
inverse.
could offer a few thoughts, I've done a lot of marketing, and one of the things that I've found is this is a relatively narrow community, and that's okay, right? Like one of the things in these areas is like you want to try and get as much reach as possible, but like I promote because I do a lot of UFO stuff and all sorts of innovative propulsion and stuff like that. And so I use Facebook groups. I promote there. I go on Twitter. I go on
Facebook groups is actually really good. You'd be surprised,
Yeah.
right? Like,
But what I found is when you push too far past that core community, you start to pick up people who really aren't that engaged. It's just kind of a game to them. And you don't really, in a weird way, you don't really want them anyways because they don't contribute anything, So I mean, they're not bad people. They're just interested in other stuff and they don't really care. You know what I mean? So
Makes
in a
sense.
weird way, it's always going to be kind of a narrow community, but like one thing I would like is better search engine visibility for some of this stuff.
Yeah,
And that would
I don't think
probably
it has to be as narrow. If people knew, like, again with the laundry machine shooting out money, if there were relatable things that people saw that you could save money, like not just you could save money, so many people can barely afford to live right
you
now,
can
and
keep
so the
your
idea
light on for free.
this is the next
forever, and we just have
strawberry
to start
garden.
building it and live streaming it. Like, here
Yeah.
you go. Here's the
Yeah,
light we
if you
built.
can grow your
Keep
own
our
food, you're
forever,
saving
not paying for it.
$20,000 a year probably. If you can grow your own food for a family of like 4 to 6, if you're one person, I don't know. It's like still people spend like 10 to 20 or more. I mean, they're spending lots of money, more and more and more money on foods, 4 times what it costs 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So like growing food's huge, having energy that helps with that, and then also being able to not spend energy costs for electricity and having lights and things like that. This is huge all over the world. Places that are off the grid, but also now places that are on the grid that are feeling. I mean, like how many places in California have there been a storm where the power's been out for 3 days? How many times has there been people in New York City during a snow storm where they had to like have USB outlets at like 4 different places in the entire city that everyone would go to? I mean, I think it's more and more about how this can be applied to your life, and we're like the comfortable ones able to play with the technologies. Like, well, if this doesn't work, I'll plug it in right now. But I'd like to try. It's like when you're the early days of Linux. So this is cool for people that are curious about the technology right now. But it's about to become a necessity, not just this kind of interest of ours. That's kind of the way I see it. I think it's narrow as right now it's a curiosity, but it will become a broad necessity.
Well,
because we have many
can I
third world
share?
countries that are going to be dependent on this.
Let me share. I want to share I don't know if I've shared this with you guys before, but this is something that I've seen like from doing my podcast. Let me see that's better. So this is the buying power of the US dollar, right? Because if you go online and look, and I know like Andreas, you've probably seen this a million times, but not everybody keeps track of this. But like the value when you were talking about food costing 4 times more, I mean, some of that is profiteering, but some of that is just
Tim, the
erosion.
scariest part is if the US dollar loses reserve currency status and what this chart will then look like as hyperinflation might hit.
I mean, that really troubles me, and it hits people who like are it's kind of like the heat. It affects that summer heat. It affects people who are the least able to deal with it.
I like to remind people what the hyperinflation was like in Germany during the Great Depression. They had to leave work during the middle of the day during their break to go home and get paid half of the day so that their wife can go to the store and buy the milk before it doubled in price at the end of the day. So prices were literally doubling every single 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really serious issue, and it's getting worse, right? And I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get political, but I don't really see either candidate addressing
a good solution to that is with like electroculture and
But how's your golf swing, Tim?
How's my golf swing? But you know what, Andreas, I'll play against you if you bring your own caddy, if you carry your own gloves.
I told you already I'd play with you, but it has to be mini golf. Are you prepared? Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for the Ferris wheel?
I need to
A
be
little
there as
windmill?
the referee.
You can handle that.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Well,
I'm scared.
as I was saying there, with
I
like
know.
electroculture, with building these little free energy devices and sustainable, like as the grid goes down more and more, or as food's more scarce, or just more expensive, and you're able to grow more or than enough for yourself, and then sell some off to your neighbors or whatever. Just keep showing it and developing it. Of course, the shoulds grow as a community.
I'd like to see community things. I feel like with maker spaces, it would be nice to see like getting involved with maker spaces in different communities, having them work on a free energy project, having every maker space that we could reach out to say, okay, let's build some sort of a coil that is able to 10x energy or sustain some sort of a field for novelty purposes, so that people could look at it, study it. Any number of 1,000 people a year are coming through any maker space. There's hundreds of them in the United States, at least 100 in Canada. I don't know how many. So I would like to hear that there are more communities that were just being informed about these projects. I mean, it was only in the 80s, 70s, and 80s that kids started using the crystal sets, right? And the crystal radio, 60s and 70s crystal radio sets. Think about how big of an impact that had on kids on their way into the sciences and the STEMs. I think it would be really great to see people just thinking about free energy equipment more as kids.
Oh, we would inspire a whole new generation of scientists.
Yeah,
for sure.
If I could add too, and maybe this would help the maker thing. Maybe not. Maybe it's out of left field. But like when Ben put his coil up a little while ago, to me, I look at that and that's like art. I think that has value as art that goes beyond. You know what? I mean, maybe it's not generating free energy. Maybe it's not changing the world. But I think that that's really cool to build because it has like artistic value.
Tim, right? It's like all the coils I've made, I've wondered, is it useful or is it just art? Like with the different designs and
I mean, I think it could be both. But at the same time, like the system that I'm running, it's more of a proof of concept, at this point, really.
But I think that's kind of part of the art, though, right?
It's the simplicity of it makes it an easy educational material.
I got a few coils that work, and then I got about 160 that don't.
That are art, right?
And they all look like art.
No, these coils are all beautiful. I love the designs and patterns of the rodent coil. All of them are like the star pattern, the traditional donut, which is probably really hard to wind. They're all beautiful. You're right. They're all art.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I mention that is I know a lot of people look at their stuff and they're like, well, what exactly does that do? What exactly is that supposed to do? And I'm kind of like, you know what? I think that it has value for its own sake,
Yeah, no, for sure.
The importance of okay, what if a disaster happens? What are you gonna do? How are you gonna charge your cell phone? How are you gonna turn on your TV? How are you gonna keep your fridge, cold? And the best place I think to market this stuff would be those people that tell you doomsday packages where you have this much food that can last.
Preppers, right?
No,
the survivalists.
I figured, Lulu. I figured that one out. I solved that. So because I was born in '76, I'm a child of the '80s, right? And so we had the threat of the Cold War hanging over our heads. And eventually I realized that if there is a doomsday scenario, I'm just going to die immediately. And then the rest of the guys can figure out
survival. No, Tim, no. Don't be one of the first to go.
I'm in the first wave out of here. That's
well, at least you're at peace with your soul, right?
I was born in '73 when they had the oil embargo.
Yeah. People forget about that. The lines.
Yep. Here. And I'm pretty sure, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be hit by something big. And, let's say a lot of Houston is going to go, there's not going to be power for weeks. And, and not a lot of people can afford You know, a good working generator is like $500+, and a lot of people can't afford that. But if we
or
could
the
create
fuel to then have to put in that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
fuel.
Well, imagine having one of these
Getting the
coils
fuel.
in the trunk of your car along with the spare tire. You hook it up to what, like a 9-volt battery to jumpstart your car?
I'll
Yeah.
do you one better.
these are
Imagine one
things
of
we
those
need to
coils.
demonstrate.
Even the power cells that I'm working on could be a real game changer for a lot of people, right? Because it's a solid state device. So I'm working on that really, really hard right now.
Yeah,
Actually,
For sure.
you could
And then
convert.
the other fallback is move to the Seattle area because nothing ever happens here. Like I'm
Until
thinking
the
about
big one.
it. Well,
Or unless you start Cash App and then get stabbed walking to your car, apparently, or
Seattle?
I heard San
Pelosi's
Francisco's
husband
really
or something,
bad.
don't they live out
Yeah,
there?
and well, I'm halfway between Seattle and Van, and Van is
So
the same way.
earthquakes.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
you're
to go
good.
back to your idea about the Tesla conference, I think that's brilliant. And if we can't do the Tesla conference, I think we should start our own conference.
Well,
Do an actual APEC meetup conference. There
So,
we go. We got to
if-
pick a
Oh,
spot.
there we go. Yeah.
if you could give me just a sec. The SCU, right, the UFO guys, we are in talks with them about APEC becoming a part of their coalition. And if that's the case, we might end up like basically tailgating on their live conference. And so that's a possibility. Or if you guys all wanted to get together at Tesla Tech like next year, let me know and I'll bring the camera and I'll do video
Yes,
and I'll do the whole
we're
9
gonna
yards for you
do
guys.
both.
Oh,
Where's
yeah.
I'm
where's
committing
the
to
Tesla
both.
Tech?
I'll go.
So
That sounds like a lot of
Where is
fun.
the Tesla Tech?
usually Tesla Tech's Albuquerque.
New Mexico.
And
Oh, yeah.
Steve invited me this year, but I'm traveling, so I'm going to Jim Woodward's. So I'm gonna do interviews with Jim Woodward and Curtis Horn, and then I'm going back to Portland to see Jared's Graviflyer and Isaiah's SEG. And then after that, I'm probably just going to
Very
collapse.
nice.
Because
I'm so jealous right now. You get to see a Graviflyer and an SEG.
So, Tim,
You son of a bee.
why you can't be the first to go? Well, we just have to get it done before the apocalypse, I guess, is the moral of the story. But by the time you're done all your travels, we'll have gotten a UFO or a portal
dude,
for you.
I
so,
downgraded. I downgraded from the apocalypse. It doesn't even have to be doomsday. I'm thinking about like taking the level down to like minor flooding. You know, minor flooding. That's it. I'm gone. You know.
Hey, it's still biblical. It's still biblical.
It is. It is exactly.
Hey, everybody's forgot about an asteroid strike.
That's the scariest.
I don't think the dinosaurs forgot about it.
Yeah, or the killer bees.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a deadly vision when I was younger about the States and Canada, and I'm telling you, it's not pretty. I pray it doesn't happen. But the funny part is last week I was watching somebody who had that very same dream, except they didn't go to the same extent that I did. And it starts with a meteor and then hits the East Coast, starts a tidal wave, which also starts a chain reaction where the New Madrid splits. But because the New Madrid splits, Yellowstone goes off, 30% value. The concussion from that sets off Cascadia, and it splits from Louisiana, the New Madrid, all the way up through Canada, and then it turns a left in Manitoba, all the way through up to Alaska.
See how
Just
complicated
Okay,
this
now
is,
you're giving me
Gerald? See how
nightmares.
complicated this is?
So what you're saying
See,
is
I agree with you, Tim. First
I just
strike
have to
done.
go a little bit
Your
further
Mad
north.
Max scenario is way too complicated. Like you have to get to a specific. There's only like 10% of the Earth that's Mad Max worthy. You know?
Yeah.
And it's
Well, I
going to
never
be
said it was gonna
Antarctica
happen. I'm just
and
saying it
the
was
North
great.
Polish area of like Alaska, probably,
never know,
right?
though.
Like,
Yeah. Well, it's not California. I'm pretty sure Armageddon already happened there. So.
Oh,
A long time ago.
Especially in San Francisco.
those cities are terrible.
I was in New Jersey last week also. That was because that's where Mark is New Jersey. And which New Jersey, I didn't realize this. New Jersey is basically kind of like left New York City. Like it's basically it's New York City. It's
Yeah.
like New York just
So
expanded to eat Jersey.
we're gonna have to. Where is it to Atlantic City? And
That's
we
north.
got.
I think that's north.
Okay, well, I guess
Atlantic
we're gonna
City.
have to host it in New Jersey by Falcon Space and by Jeremy, right? And then we'll invite Jersey Shore to the APEC conference. There you
New
go,
Jersey
right?
is really smoggy. I was really surprised. I mean, like I remember looking up and it was like really cloudy and nasty, and then I was like, wait a minute, that's like blue sky. And then I
That's
looked
why
over
we
and I
need
was
to
like,
get.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry,
I'm
go ahead.
well. I mean, so it's really muggy there, and everybody's angry, and so
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna
New
say
York,
that's why we
that's
need
the
to
way
get
it's in New York.
more people building thunderstorm generators. Clean up some of the smog, retrofit them to their
man.
automobiles, like we had at the Cosmic Summit. That was cool.
Yeah, that's something I noticed. You go to New York, you cross the street, people in cars will speed up. They try to kill you, but if you go in California, if you're going to California,
Oh,
they'll
wow.
stop and they'll make you. They'll wait until you walk to the street.
that's know
Yep.
what British Columbia is where it's at. I'm like right near
Yeah,
there.
right, Tim. You just got to come north. You survived the apocalypse in Canada. You will be
That's right.
great.
And people
Did you call it Burnish Columbia?
No, British.
It will
British
be.
I
Columbia.
think it's going to be Burnish in the future.
It already
British-
is Burnish Columbia in
Yeah.
many ways because I have a family ranch there and many relatives, and yeah,
Burnish Columbia. That's where it's at.
They have an island. You know that island, the island where they
Free-
grow weed.
free
I
burn.
don't remember the.
They grow weed.
The
everywhere
island of
in Canada.
Burnlandia.
No, I'm serious. Okay, back when weed was illegal, like back in the day, when I was in college.
Now you're dating yourself.
Yeah, when I was in college, there was this. It was like a mythical island. I swear to God, this was a mythical island up off the coast of Canada where
Victoria?
No, it's a smaller one. I forgot the name of it, but the idea was, you had to take a ferry to get out there, and they only had like one cop, and he didn't care about it. And so,
Galacula.
Oh,
so-
that was not mythical.
That cop
I've
was
been to
probably
that
getting
island.
high.
No,
That
that's
sounds like
real.
every island off the coast of Canada I've ever heard of. But probably Victoria is like the one that I experienced that with.
No,
and it was
it
exactly the
wasn't.
same situation.
it wasn't that big. Victoria's big. This was a smaller
No,
one.
no, but
Yeah, I know what
yeah,
you're talking about. I've seen it. It's actually not part of Canada. It's in no man's land, and it's a small community. And they have at the center of the island, they have this gated off area, and everybody shares like the equipment, pumps, lawnmowers, generators, whatever they need. It's a close knit community, and just everybody shares with everybody. And apparently, it's working really, really well. And most people that have jobs, they have to take a boat to the mainland to go to work, right? But the island's actually not part of Canada.
It's not Prince. I'm just trying to look it up now. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's
People-
off the
people would know.
off the coast of
There's
Victoria.
a few different epic ones, but yeah, right there is that one that's not Canadian. It's like a
That's-
commune or something.
I
That's
don't
where
know.
What does it qualify as?
I just remember we had a friend in college who went up there, and he came back, and he's like, "It's real." He's like, "It's better
yeah.
than they said."
Like The Beach. You ever see that movie, The Beach?
Oh yeah,
Beach, yeah.
That's where they filmed the first Rambo movie around there.
Up in
was in
BC,
Hope.
you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they film a ton of stuff up there because originally it was because costs were less, right? But then now they have so many studios up there. They have a ton of studios. So
We got to make an island off like a movie where the island of Burnish Columbia, and there's this crazy old man who has this weed forest. It's not just a garden. These plants are like 30 feet tall, thick as redwoods and Lizzo, and they've got maple taps on all the weed plants, just like
in the land of
Columbia,
Fernlandia.
walk to the
Yeah,
backyard of half the
trees.
people that live there, and you'll find exactly what you just said.
There's newspaper clippings of this one mountain forest that was all weed crops, and that the farmer was feeding the local bear population dog food on the regular as the guard bears, and it was like a giant mountain of marijuana guarded by weed bears, and that's Burnlandia. It was literally in this just in the same mountain chain as my family ranch up in the Kootenays.
Yeah,
sounds like an adventure waiting to happen.
Now that I'm pushing 50, it's coffee and aspirin
every year.
If that bear had landed just like 20 minutes later, he might have landed in Canada, and it wouldn't have been cocaine. He would have been fine. He would have been in British Columbia. British Columbia instead of Columbia.
Right? And so there's actually a lot of free energy conference in BC too, I think, or over the border in Washington there, like Aaron Maxim. Oh, I can never get his name right. Mike, you know
Aaron Murakami.
There we go, Murakami. Yes, doesn't he do it there?
Energy Science and Technology Conference, I believe so. Yeah,
maybe that's one we should all aim to go and meet up at. Kind of close.
Whatever happened to the Breakthrough Energy Conference? I noticed that on their website they don't have any recent videos.
You mean Kofi, right?
No, Global Breakthrough Energy Movement or conference, wasn't it?
Yeah, movement conference, something like that.
Yeah. It was, I believe, in Switzerland or Sweden or something, but it stopped a few years since COVID.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I noticed that they only have up to 2019 was the last conference that they had on their website.
Yeah,
it could be COVID related. I mean, a lot of that stuff, but that doesn't mean they're gone forever, right? A lot of that stuff took a hit for COVID, and maybe it went online, or maybe they'll bring it back. I mean,
hopefully. But there's the one in what was it again, Mike? And is it Washington?
No, it's in Idaho.
Idaho.
Yeah,
that's where Idaho to meet up. All right.
Yeah, that's where the Energy Science and Technology. That's where Bendini did a lot of his conferences. In Idaho, that's where he lived. So yeah, they do travel.
Eric Solar's always there too.
Not for everyone here. Well, the last one, I think he was there, but the one before that he wasn't because he was fighting cancer. He had lymphoma, so he seemed to have got over that. So he's still going. I think right now the biggest guy that they have going now, well, since Paul Babcock passed away, is the young guy Griffin Brock. He's kind of like Dollard's little protege. So that's one guy to watch, Griffin Brock. He's replicating a lot of the original Tesla gear. So.
Oh, by the way, guys, before it's been almost 2 hours, but I just want to say that in August, some professional laboratory accepted to replicate my experiments, and it's gonna cost $20,000, but they'll pay 60% of it, and I need to pay the rest, so $8,000.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so
that's good news. That's really good news.
Congratulations!
In August, we'll know officially the results with greater power and so on. So stay tuned for that. And meanwhile, I need to sell my chocolates to make $8,000.
That's a lot of chocolate.
Yes, I need to start soon, next week. So I'm gonna do door to door.
Prior to that, we're talking about Tesla, and I haven't really revealed this yet, so I guess I could just mention it now. I don't think of it as a big deal, but I found a way of using water as a ground line. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to my local creek, and I'm going to see what sort of distance I can get out of using that creek as a ground line. So,
oh my!
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, one wire wireless. I've done it in a big, huge bowl from one side of the bowl to the other, and no issues. I've got LEDs lighting up. It completes the circuit. So I want to do it in a creek and see if there's a difference
So-
between dirty and clean
That's interesting.
water.
I think there's a video of Daniel Nunes doing something similar where there's a specific frequency he's putting into a cup of water. And
Yeah, it's
completely
slightly
encircled.
different though. I'm using the water as a ground.
Yeah.
That's
So
still-
what's the
that's
what
still
was
really
I
the,
get what you're saying, Gerald. You could, like, that's quite the extra like potential to be adding in that. Like, you got to record it and you got to use that in the
Oh.
APEC conference tomorrow. And
Definitely. Definitely.
right,
Well,
the
I don't
good-
know about being in the conference. I'm not sure I'll have time to do the editing by the time I get back.
well, if it's
Everything
still
else set
live
up.
and drawing power, right? Just keep it running from when you set it up.
I can't. I have to go like way far away from
Oh.
my house.
The water is safe to touch when you're using it. When you're
Sorry?
using the device, the water is safe to touch. It's not gonna like shock you or anything.
Oh yeah, I've stuck my hand in it. I've been shocked
That's
so many
pretty cool.
times I don't care. So for me, it was just like, well, let's see what happens. And
Right.
So
oh, mind you,
using the
I'm
river
freaking
as the
it almost
ground,
feels good
and
now.
Gerald's got the most scientific method of any of us. Let's just see what happens.
why not,
Malcolm
right?
Mendel infused himself with 250,000 volts. He infused himself with
Oh.
plasmoids. So
Yeah, he says plasmoids, but how does he really know? Does he have some sort
Yeah.
of electron microscope that's telling, like you're seeing plasmoids in his blood? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the thought. It's
isn't
awesome.
all blood plasma?
it is an interesting idea, and there isn't really no way of knowing. Honestly, we
That's just the
unless
point, right? I could say I put 150,000 balls of testosterone in my blood. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying he's lying. Really, I'm not. I like Malcolm Bendall. I love his design. I think he's onto something that's absolutely amazing. But the whole plasmoid thing, a little hard for me to grasp. That's all.
it
I'm
is,
saying.
it's intense.
I've
It's
been wrong
intense.
before, but for me, it's a little hard.
If you read the book The Shaman, it goes into all sorts of crazy stuff that is hard to believe. Honestly, you don't know what to make of all of it. But
Dan Winter and Mehran Keshi have been covering like plasma stuff and plasmids and how it also gets into consciousness a lot over the years too. It's
there's theories that
Understand that I'm not saying that you can't
consciousness.
impart energy into the body, but I don't believe it's done through plasmoids. I believe it's done through light, with sound pushing that light through your body and adding that energy to each cell. Therefore, maybe pausing time for the human body, not stopping it and not returning it back to the way it was. You can't retard time, but you may be able to give enough energy into each cell of your body through that mechanism that allows you to pause the aging mechanism of the body itself. It's a theory I've been working on. It goes pretty deep into like lamins in each cell and what's contained in each cell, but that's something I can get into in a future date.
So you wouldn't consider it time manipulation, but more of like DNA manipulation?
Well,
Or something
time
like that?
manipulation perhaps, but more like time energy being imparted into each cell in a way that it pauses your aging ability. So I don't know about time manipulation itself, more as energy as a time packet.
Negation?
Yeah,
That's not quite the right term I'm using, but
you just increase the energy density and it's going to slow down time. And
exactly, it's like infusing the energy
okay.
in your body through energy density, through light and sound.
Or
That's interesting.
magnetic, electromagnetic, or gravito-electromagnetic energy.
Or all of the above.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm going to bail out on you for now.
Yeah, no worries. We're coming to an end.
I wanted to show you guys before we end something, an object that I found, which I thought really was cool. It's a kitchen whisk, right? Like the ones that you do. But look at the coil structure on this.
That is cool. Put
You
a charge on it.
Huh?
Put some voltage on it. See what it does.
Yeah. Look at how many coils in a coil. Like there's four.
The
like
coil within the
one-
coil within the coil, gyroscope,
Yeah.
triple coil.
Like it's one of the coolest little things, and I figured maybe this might work. Let's see what
That's
it does.
really neat.
Yeah.
Put it into a plasma tube. See what
Yeah,
happens.
but how they had the little, like, I don't know if you could see.
Oops. There she goes.
Oh. All right, Tim. Well, have a good night, sir. I know you got some editing to do. Rest up your voice, and we will see everybody
Yeah, well,
at
see you
Apex
guys, man.
tomorrow.
Stay healthy.
have a good
There
night,
are
Tim. We'll see you
wolves out
tomorrow.
there. Have a good one, guys.
You as well,
Peace.
brother. Closing words for everyone, and then with 5 minutes left, I promised Mike I would play his design of, I guess it's the swastika generator, but
Gamadian. Use the Gamadian word.
Right? But yeah. Anywho, close words, Nathan, Mike.
Gerald, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, so am I. I've been working on the presentation all week. I've got it on my computer. Everything seems to be working okay. As long as I don't get smacked down by some other force I'm not looking at or seeing, I'm going to be there.
Is that
Oh,
conference
no.
available online?
What's that?
Oh, it's APEC. Yes, we'll be streaming it on all our channels tomorrow.
APEC, yeah. Starts at 2, I believe, and goes till 8 or something like that.
Are you at the beginning or at the end of the?
I'm at 4 or 6. I'm towards the end.
Okay.
Before Mark Sokol does the update for the
Okay,
staff or whatever they're doing there.
Okay. Awesome. So, peace, dudes, and take it easy, man.
Much
Heck yeah,
love,
that's
Phil.
gonna be fun.
Congratulations on your upcoming test this summer.
Thanks, and I'm pretty optimistic for that amount of money you have to be.
Oh, I got one more thing to say to Bernie. The trailer, and this is just something that you guys can all think about. The big project that I'm working on. The trailer's 90% done. I got a bunch of welding in today and everything. When I'm done this project I've been talking about and sort of leading on to, I'll do a big demonstration. And it'll be live when I do it. So, but I'm almost done. So, Bernie,
I'm excited for that.
I'll be contacting you shortly.
Looking forward to it, and it is going to be one awesome summer.
Yeah.
Summer 2024.
Right. All right. Well, promised Mike we would play his design here and the Iron V-Gate pulse motor. Oop.
We're not seeing it burn. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear it?
No.
Okay.
Sorry?
Don't have any sound.
No sound? Okay. My apologies. 1 second.
Nope.
Yeah, I got a reloader here. Hopefully the computer doesn't freeze. And APEC in the morning.
And so on. Just an idea.
Oops.
Okay.
Sound now?
What we have here is a piece of iron. Another piece of iron. This is a shaft connected to a 3-phase generator for alternating current output. The shaft connects to here, at which point you have 4 large ferrite rectangular cube magnets in these dimensions to the iron. Same length, same thickness as the iron that you're using. The north fields are pointing out. This is taking advantage of the V-gate system, V-gate magnetic force pull motor. As you can see here, here's a piece of iron, and you have, you know, another piece of iron, a magnet here, right? So even though the north is here and the south is there, it doesn't matter because this whole side of this piece of magnet will be pulled to this piece of iron just by its position. It's going to make this go down. This magnet is going to want to turn that way. It's going to want to pull this way actually, because it's a magnet, and that's iron. Even though the north is here and the south is here, the side of the magnet is going to pull to the iron also, which is going to induce motion that way. And then the north is going to get closer to here, and the whole piece of magnet's going to get overall 90 degrees right there. You can see that the whole magnet, as it's turning, gets closer to the iron overall. You know, you can see there with the pen pretending to be the magnet. As it turns, you have a 90 degree there, and all this magnet space, this entire magnet's face or side is pulling to that iron. Anyway, the irons are wrapped with coils here at the tip, the iron bars. And when your north field gets there, you will trigger the coil to push it along. Try not to use any more energy than you need to just break the connection between the north here and the tip of this iron. You don't need to really push it. Just break the connection and try to only use the pull force of the magnet to the iron as your power source. That's the concept here I'm trying to drive home. And likewise, as this magnet is being pulled that way, the one down here is being pulled this way. So you have two fields of force going on here between this piece of magnet and this piece of magnet. It's pulling there. And then, you know, your next set of magnets and so on. Just an idea. You know, comment. Let me know what you think. This is harnessing the V-gate force. And you got to have two pieces of iron. You notice that this tip of this iron is here, and then this tip of this iron is here. That's important to have them positioned that way, in my opinion, due to the pull force of the ferrite magnet to the iron core, and hence the other ferrite magnet here pulling to this iron core. So you're going to have force going this way from this magnet and this core, and force going this way from this magnet and this core. And when these turn this way, these other two magnets are now lining up for the next pull force. And you have your coils wrapped around here to trigger them when the magnet gets there, just like the Bedini motor, pulse motor, any reed switch, whatever you want to use, and another coil here. You can wire the coils together in series and trigger them at the same time with one transistor or one reed switch. Or you can wire them separately. Over and out.
You crazy mother. Yeah. It's just Bernie.
Tired of typing tons of notes during class? There's finally a better way. It's called Otter. Let's say I'm in class.